Our city council meeting, it's almost 7 o'clock. By the time I get done talking here, it'll be 7 o'clock. We'd like to welcome all of you here tonight with us. We have some exciting things going on with some of our employees and some we're going to recognize tonight. We got some other important things that we're going to be discussing. Council, let's go ahead and kind of get started with our opening ceremony. I've asked Paul Fulgham if he'd give us a word of prayer. And then after that, we'll have Wes Eastep lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee this evening, we give Thee thanks, Father, for the blessings Thou hast given us, for the opportunity we have to live in this community, in this great state of Utah and our free country that we live in, Father. And we're grateful for the blessings Thou hast given us. We're grateful for the rights and freedoms that we have. We ask Thee this night to bless our council as they make decisions that will affect our community, that they'll be guided by their conscience and by the things that they know that are needed in our community. Father, we ask Thee to bless those that are serving our nation, that are in harm's way, that they can be protected by Thy hand and guided into the things that they are doing. We're grateful for all that we have, and we ask Thee for these things, and this we do in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Paul and Wes. Let's see, introduction of our guests for this evening. I'll just kind of go down the list here and so that some of you that maybe aren't here all the time, you get to know some of our employees and some of those that serve at the city. Over here to my left, we've got Sean Warnke, our city manager, Councilmember Wes Eastep, Councilwoman Connie Archibald, Councilman Lyle Vance, Councilman Brett Rohde, Councilman Rick Siemens, and then we have Lindsay Nesson, who is our recorder, Assistant City Manager Mark Christensen back there. And then we got Chris, who's going to be presenting some recognition for some of our firefighters this evening. Chris Scothern, Dustin Cordova, our Chief of Police. Shari's not with us this evening, and Sarah Mormon with the Main Street, with our Main Street program. And we'd like to welcome all of you here tonight. We hope you find it. Did I forget Paul?
Forgot Paul. Again.
I just keep copying over
Again.
week to week. Sorry, Paul.
Again.
You probably start to feel like you're getting a little bit of a complex here. Paul Fulgham, who's our Public Works Director.
I'm red.
All right. But after that embarrassing experience, let's see. Are there any? Is there a declaration of conflict of interest with any of you here tonight? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as noted tonight.
I'll second it.
Been moved by Connie and seconded by Lyle Vance. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes, May 2nd, 2023.
Make a motion.
Any questions? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for May 2nd.
I'll second.
Been moved by Lyle Vance and seconded by Rick. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've been waiting for this all week, Laura. Laura Holmgren is going to come up and give us a little education on the extension service and some of the programs that they offer our community.
Okay. You guys have some awesome acknowledgements coming up, and I do not want to get in the way of that. But I'll tell you why I'm here, and I'll be quick and get out of your hair. But you may have heard of USU Extension. more than just the college. And the really cool thing is that if I give you zero information tonight, you've got a really good resource in your mayor who has a couple of years of working with Extension, as I do. So we have a new commissioner, Commissioner Bingham, and he oversees USU Extension. So we spend about 2 hours with him talking about our programming, some of the ways that we get the word of mouth out, our budget, which we were happy to present that we have matched the county and state budget that they supply dollar for dollar. So that's very exciting. And he said, I love this. We want to make sure our cities are connecting with you and taking advantage of those resources and opportunities. So my objective here is to remind you who we are, to put a face to the organization, and connect you with any of those resources you may need. As I've gone, you guys are the 7th city we visited. Some of the most prominent ways we've seen cities utilize Extension is, budgeting management of trees. Mike Pace has been able to come out, and rather than hiring an arborist, he's been able to help prioritize which trees in parks need to stay and go. Another example is Corinne City is putting in a footpath around a park, and they needed a collaboration on a grant. So we were able to do that through our healthy living projects and things like that. So there are several specialists, lots of programs, and we would love to support Tremont City in the same way that you guys support us, specifically our 4-H programming, which is probably most notable with Extension. Your Public Works building has been such a resource to us. So I'd like to express gratitude for that and for all the ways that you support us. And if there's something that we can do for Tremont City, we would sure love to do it. We've got websites, phone numbers, a little list of things that are happening, that have happened. So check it out and certainly let us know. There's some interesting facts on here about food insecurity in Box Elder County. 1 in 8 people, So we have an entire specialist that has collaborated with the community garden in Brigham City with your food pantry. We love those collaborations. We look forward to those. We want to keep working with you and just be a partner. Are there any questions for me?
We really do appreciate everything in Extension and, the 4-H program and all the things that you guys do. It's just one of those kind of unsung heroes that.
You know what? It's the unsung heroes are the people in the room. There's volunteers coming out of our ears, and we're so grateful for them. And but really, those grants and every city's going to go through a budget, and if there's some sort of partnership we can do, let's do it. And yes,
Great.
thank you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Okay, years of service. Why don't we start with Chris? Why don't we start with the fire department? And I guess you've got what you need there, and
Yeah,
and I've got the
rest of it, right?
okay. I've got the rest of it. Do you want me to come up, or do you want to just take care of that?
So I'll just read a couple things real quick and then they can come up. We'll start with Nate first, I guess.
Okay. Well,
Or if you want to come down now, that's fine too.
I'll just
So first off, thanks for letting us or allowing us to do this tonight. For these two individuals, 10 years is a long time, and it's hard anymore to find people that you can get to dedicate 2 to 3 years to something. And for these guys to dedicate 10 years of their life, putting their life and their stuff on hold to be able to do it for that long is pretty remarkable. So, 10 years doesn't seem like a long time, but my second to the youngest just turned 10, and those are the longest 10 years of my life. So, so 10 years is still a long time. So we'll start with Nate first, and I'll just read this, and then he can come up. So this evening, we would like to recognize the commitment and dedication of one of Tremont Fire Department's most passionate members, Nate Christensen. And I told this before when I done it. I tried to get as much information as I could from them, so if some of this is wrong, I apologize, but I think it's pretty close. So Nate was born in 1977 in Delta, Utah, to Alan and Janice Christensen, where he grew up prior to moving to Tremont. He has one brother and 2 sisters. He married his wife, Chrissy, in 1999, and together they have 4 children, Becca, Tyler, Lane, and Paisley, and 2 grandchildren, Piper and Michael. During his 10 years of service, Nate has put in many selfless hours to help make the department what it is today. He's responded to countless emergencies and has risked his own life to save and protect others within the community. He has contributed many hours to the department's training program, education, and outreach program, sharing his knowledge and expertise with his college and the public, all with the end state of making this a better community. Nate joined the Tremont Fire Department in March of 2013 and quickly proved himself a valuable member of the team. He currently serves as the rescue captain and as such has devoted many hours to ensure that he and others stay current in the tech rescue field. In this capacity, he continues to provide insight and guidance on rescue operations and ensures firefighters' safety. During his time with the department, Nate has been instrumental in ensuring that the day-to-day operations continue to flow smoothly as he devotes a serious amount of time managing schedules and assisting firefighters with their leave. Aside from his public service work at Tremont, Nate also volunteers with the Box Elder County Search and Rescue Team and has done so for 25 years. He has served in various capacities such as commander, as well as the first and second captain throughout those years. During his tenure, he has been involved in hundreds of searches and rescues and multiple recovery efforts throughout the entire county of Box Elder, all the way to the state of Nevada. Nate, we are grateful for your service to the department and to the community. You have made a tremendous difference in the lives of many people and earned the respect and admiration of your peers. You have shown exemplary courage, skill, and compassion in this role, responding to countless emergencies, saving lives and property. You have also been a great mentor to your fellow firefighters. You are a true hero and an asset to the Tremont Fire Department. Congrats to you as well as your family on your decade of service.
That's awesome. Thanks again.
So obviously, these folks wouldn't be here today without the support of their families and their spouses. So we appreciate all that they do to allow them to come help us and provide protection for the citizens of Tremont. And so these awards are just as much geared towards them as they are for Joe and Nate. So with that, we'll move over to Joe. And his says, this evening we would like to honor one of Tremont Fire Department's most prestiged members, Joe Rathbone, who has been a devoted member of the fire department since 2013. Joe was born in 1976 in Brigham City, Utah, to Ron and Sheila Rathbone, where he grew up prior to moving to Tremont. He has 3 brothers and 3 sisters. He married his wife Christy in 1998, and together they have 4 children, Cameron, Amy, Isaac, and Nathan. Throughout the years, Joe has continued to prove himself to be a valuable firefighter and EMT who always puts the safety and well-being of others before his own. He has responded to numerous fire and medical incidents and does so with an extreme amount of professionalism. He has also been involved in many community outreach and education programs, teaching fire prevention and safety to children and the community. Joe is not only a valued member of the department, but also a great role model for the rest of the members on the department. He is always standing by, ready to lend a hand, offer advice, or help others when needed. He has even gone above and beyond to become certified as a peer support member to assist other first responders when they have experienced a rough call or just need someone to talk to. Joe joined the Tremont Fire Department in March of 2013 also, and quickly established his value that he brought to the department. In 2018, he earned the distinguished honor of Firefighter of the Year for his hard work, commitment, and dedication. In conjunction with his public service at Tremont, Joe also decided to fulfill his dream of becoming a full-time firefighter, and in 2017, he joined the Northrop Grumman Fire Department. He has been a valued asset to that department and has grown in his knowledge and skill set immensely in the fire service. Joe, we are grateful for your selfless service to the department and to the surrounding communities. You have made a profound impact in the lives of many people. You have earned a lifelong friendship with many of the department members, and you continue to show drive and dedication to the fire service field. You have demonstrated remarkable courage, honor, and sacrifice over the years. Tonight, we honor you, along with your family, on 10 years of unwavering service.
That's awesome. He said my word.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome.
Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
There too, Mayor, to have some information about the Lindas.
Oh, no, you have to stick around for all the meeting, or that check voids.
I gotta figure out what. Self-destructs.
Okay, I guess. You know, when I first started on the city council, my first assignment was with the library. And I, you know, ever since then, we've sort of had this appreciation, both Kathy and I, and for those that serve over there and do everything they can to make this program work. And, you know, and I got, it's just kind of this little crown jewel that we have, the library is. We just appreciate those of you that serve over there very much. This first one is going to be for Linda Kitch. Linda? Come on up. We're going to make you, we're going to torture you here. Oh. Oh, man.
What do you need? Glasses?
I'll be able to read without it. Okay. Linda's a librarian at our Tree Mountain City Library. She started in May of 2018, serving with the library. She has 4 children, 5 stepchildren, 26 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. And John, we were just talking about John just a little bit ago. You and your husband unfortunately passed away just a few months ago. We're very sorry about that. Very, very sorry. I've had the opportunity of working with you guys and very special. Linda loves to read and spends time with her and to spend time with her grandchildren. So she had to answer some questions. Okay, so question number 3, what is your favorite part about working for Tree Mountain City? The friendship I've gained, knowledge I've gained about books. So that's what you, and then question number 7, which was, what is your dream vacation spot? Spain. And I think it's mine too. And then the third one was question number 12, what is on your bucket list? Riding in a hot air balloon and flying in a helicopter.
Wow.
Those are pretty cool. A hot air balloon sounds kind of exciting, actually. Well, both of them do. Thank you so much, Linda. Save one. Thank you. Okay, Linda, come on up. Linda Burns is our assistant librarian, and she served with the city now for 5 years. 5 years. And she loves to read, loves to garden, and loves to walk and hike around. She has 3 children and 3 grandchildren, and loves to learning new things. And the second house we ever had in Tremont, we bought from Linda and Steve Burns. So that's just a little fact. Okay, so your questions, answers to your questions. Question number 1 was, what has been your favorite work project while at Tree Mountain City and working with the teen program? So, question number 3, what is your favorite part about working for Tree Mountain City? And she loves helping others and seeing friends as they come to the library. And question number 7, what is your dream vacation spot? This is another good one, Switzerland. So I have to agree with you, Spain and Switzerland, we can do it all at once. Thank you, Linda. Thank you for your service. Public comments. This is an opportunity to address the city council regarding your concerns or ideas. We appreciate it if you keep them, keep them not short, but concise. And anyway, the time is now yours.
I rushed ahead of the crowd. My name is Jeff Hote, resident here in Tremont. First of all, in military branches that are nautical, you say, instead of kudos or job well done, you say bravo Zulu, BZ. So to the city employees and to the first responders especially, since I'm a former one, BZ to y'all, nice job. Positive report on the improvement to the northern community too. To hear that report in last meeting and see the fix up of some of the homes in town is a good thing for everybody, so glad to see that. I'm here actually to pose a request to you, and I'll wrap up with that request. Since 2019, we've seen an incredible growth in population in our city of at least 3,000 people. So a lot of homes and a lot more to come, either under construction or if the economy allows more to come in construction. We'll wait and see what happens with interest rates and everything else. I kind of, and some of you who are retirees also or older, get a kick out of talking to some of the younger people, and they're all distressed over 6% interest rates. And my wife and I thought 6% was heaven. And I'm sure some of you did too, because remember the Jimmy Carter days and 18 to 21% interest rates on homes. So not a good time back then. With the growth comes a lot of things, hopefully some real good things, but a lot of other concerns as well. And the Slow the Grow group had expressed some of those that would be coming. And with the government experience I have, knew some of it would be coming. Traffic's coming with the roads and the future, depending on the amount of growth, and the state will step in and start to take some action. But y'all had to be aware that that was going to come with the growth that you've promoted. Medical fire calls, I assume, are going up. That was a reasoning behind your decision before on property tax increases to be able to fund some of the fire department positions to go to paid positions instead of volunteer. Crimes. I have a grammar request in now because I want to know what's happening with the crime rates in the city, because that doesn't really ever come out in the news around here of things that are going on unless there's some big news event. But not numbers, not things that people like me really digest, or numbers, and to see where the trends are and what's going on. So when I hear that we are not at the ratio anymore, I pose a question that you don't have to answer now. Were we at the ratio before all this growth? And if we were, then you knew it was going to go out of the ratio with the growth. So you knew all this was coming, and the tax increases, there will be several. They'll be significant, and they're all coming. Water treatment facility is going to have to be enhanced or replaced, and those are well into the tens of millions of dollars. Logan found out the hard way it was $150 million, but a lot bigger unit. But still, some huge things that are going on. So the request I have, and the knowledge I don't have, I write my letters to the editor of the newspaper and in the Bear River Valley News and do my things there, and I try to make sure I'm speaking from fact-based information. When I do those things is, why? What prompted you to do so much growth that would drastically change the culture of the town, the traffic loads, the need for infrastructure? There had to be some reasoning behind it, and I've never seen that come out in the public. And so that's what I pose to you as a request, is to let the public know the why. What prompted you to do this? Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'd like to comment, Jeff, on one thing. Well, we could probably comment on more than that, but on the crime rates, and that information is going to be published on our Tremont, through Facebook and different sources. We'll try to get that information out to the public so that you can see, not only just with the police department, but also with the fire department and some of the activity. They send us a weekly report, and it's something that probably should be given out to the public as well. So on that part of it, I guess, and maybe you all might have some thoughts on this as well, but when you say the why and why did we allow it, I guess it's
Well,
not.
that's not what he asked. Why did we promote it?
That was the
I
word
didn't
used.
promote it. I
Well, I
don't know
don't-
any of us promoted growth here.
But it's also how, why did we why was it allowed in the first place? Those, my degree was in agriculture economics, but I had a boatload of economic, information and everything and the markets, we're dealing with the same markets that Garland is, what Logan is. You just about pick just about any town in Utah, and they're all experiencing something very similar to what we're experiencing. And, so I think that, it's, I just don't think that we have gone out there and tried to say, come to us. It's been more of a market promoted sort of a thing. And, we want to create our mission is to create a safe and welcoming community. We also, when we want to make sure that people feel welcome in our community, I don't like the idea that, once in a while you hear somebody say something like, and chastise somebody for coming in here to California, for example. Why did you, we don't want you, sort of thing. I don't agree with that. I think that's totally wrong. And so, I think we need to give some thought to this, and I think that's a fair question, and we need to address it. And I think in the next little while, we'll do just that. We appreciate your time.
Mr. Mayor, I'll put this out there. We did start putting our stats on our social media. We don't really have the ability to put it on our website yet. It's just not going to be updated frequently enough. So that's another thing. And also public information. There's the UCR, which is a Uniform Crime Report. That's all public information. The problem you'll run into is it won't be updated stats. They're pretty far behind because they have to wait every year for us to report, process the data, and then post it. So I pulled it up today, and it was a couple of years old, so.
We'll try to do a better job of getting that information. That's a fair question. And so we'll do our better job to try to get that information out so people know. But then a town of 11,500 people, one person shows up, has a public comment. So maybe we need to do a little better job on the other side of things too. So, all right. Does anybody else have anything to add to that? All right. Well, thank you. Anybody else? Any other public comments? All right. Well, thanks, Jeff. We do appreciate it. Discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number 23-29, selecting the health insurance carriers and defining the city's contribution for health insurance employee benefits for the 2023 to 24 fiscal year. We had an opportunity to go through this with in our work session. Council, do you have anything addition, or Mark or Sean, do you have anything in addition to add to this?
I do not.
Okay.
Got one question, Lindsay, where you said we're pushing the number, whatever, kind of in nowhere. Do we need to, we're not small no more,
Oh, we're still small as of right now.
are we?
Yes.
How many, are we within a 50-person?
You have to have 50 eligible employees to be a large employer, and we're at like 45 right now, I think.
Well, with what we're gonna hire, we'll have to maybe look just a little in advance next year to what that next step will be. Do you get a better rate for more people, or does it cost you more?
I think the benefit of a small group is they don't rate you on your own claim history. I think if you move to the larger group, I think you start to be evaluated on your claims history, is my understanding. So I think it's better. We've had better luck being in a small group rather than being rated on our claims history. Because previously we were in a level funded program where we were reviewed on claims history, or level funded, yeah. So, but I would say, we anticipated that issue, knowing what our hiring was, and we asked GBS, who helps broker our our group and helps to get us bids and shops our group around. And they've kind of given me the impression that those carriers aren't as particular about that 50 as being the absolute number. So we may be a small group for a little longer, by their grace, I guess. We sort of live by what they decide. So I don't know if Connie or Brett, who have some experience in medical, but that was our understanding of it.
Do most people do most of our employees, do they really like the insurance that do you seem to think people are pleased with it?
I don't hear a lot of complaints, but maybe they're not coming to me. I don't know.
I got nothing but praise from coming here from Maldonado and Thiokol,
Okay,
whatever.
okay,
Really good insurance.
yeah. Well, I think Select Health does a great job. At least you can call and, I've got their number memorized if you need it. And they answer your questions and are available, and you can talk to a real person rather quickly. So that's valuable to people, I think.
They seem to have some innovative programs too, as far as delivering a healthcare service. I went to the Instacare several weeks ago, and it cost a couple $100. And now I think I saw that you can do those urgent visits online, and it's like $40 or something.
Yes.
Something amazing.
It's
So
very good.
yeah, so I've liked how they've rethought how to deliver services.
I'll make a motion, if you're ready, Mayor.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution number 23-29, selecting Select Health insurance carrier and having that as the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
I'd second it.
Moved by Connie and seconded by Wes. Let's see, resolution. Brett?
Brett, aye.
Rick, I.
West side.
Connie Archibald, aye.
Lyle Vance, aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item number B, discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number 23-30, approving a change order in the amount of $490,017 for the 2023 street maintenance project. Do you have anything more to add to that? Maybe an explanation?
I don't unless you have questions.
I just have just one.
Yeah,
The layer where it's at right now, we're going to actually below that, aren't we?
yeah, we're gonna take down 2 inches and then bring it back up 3. And,
Yeah.
I mean, we could save 100,000 if we only brought it up 2 inches. But structurally, I mean, with the number of trucks, and we're promoting, we like industry, we like commercial growth, and, that road has really, I mean, it was built in the mid-90s by non-urban money. That was before we hit 5,000 population, and we was in the non-urban, and so it was built with the city 6.77% match. And they did it along with the CDA or RDA when they put water and sewer all out, so that, that's when it was OEA, the predecessor to Auto Leave. And that's what attracted Auto Leave, Multi-Mill. We had the infrastructure for them and a place for them to come. And so it's been that road has, and the money was well spent years ago in that CDA that they did. Because we've Intertape Polymer, plus you look at our T&M Manufacturing, the Steeple Place. I mean, it's been well worth it and paid for itself.
Yeah.
And the hospital came there.
Yep,
So-
it's a great location.
Okay, council?
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution number 23-30.
I'll second it.
Moved by Lyle Vance and seconded by Connie. Rick, it's your
Okay.
turn.
West side.
Connie Archibald, aye.
Lyle Vance, aye. Brett, aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our new council business. We'll move on to calendar items and review the calendar. We kind of went through this in our work session. I just wanted to kind of give a kudos to all those who participated in the farmers market, and it was a great success. I had a lot of people there and really appreciate it. And the downtown stroll, it sounds like that was successful as well. So let's see, what else have we got going on? We got Hay Days coming up on the 22nd and 21st and 22nd. And the road work we're going to have done. Any unfinished business, council?
22nd's breakfast, right?
Yes.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the breakfast.
Any finished business, council, that we need to discuss?
Mayor,
Yes.
where are we at with like septic tanks and that? Is that still moving forward and?
Well, I think to a large degree, I think that's been resolved, at least, but you guys can tell me if you feel otherwise, which is the county now has adopted an ordinance that requires any development within the city's annexation areas to first come to the city and request or petition annexation, rather than just granting them or processing their development under the county. So we have the opportunity to essentially annex property in for development purposes and then apply our
The
standards.
county stands behind that and promotes it.
Yeah, they adopted an ordinance. I think the mayor and I went to the planning commission meetings. I can't remember if I went to the commission meeting. But it was, it was well attended by a lot of the other cities, when they were discussing it through the process. Brigham, I remember Manaway, comes to mind. Of course, Tremont was there. I think there were even some others, but anyways, the county responded to our request, and it really started with the city council and the concerns that you expressed here. And so we reached out to the county and to the health department and had a meeting with both of them. And again, the mayor was in attendance, and we expressed our concerns, and the health department, contemplated and discussed with their board an ordinance relative to regulating septic tanks. I think ultimately they decided not to do that, but the county followed through with their ordinance that requires, those applicants to petition the city for annexation if,
Within such
Yep.
a certain distance from the city.
right. So,
Then we have a choice to annex them in and bring them in.
correct.
And that's where it stops right there, because we're still, I guess, of the opinion that if they don't, we won't allow septic tanks. So
Right.
is that where we're at? We still don't allow septic?
Yeah, the
tanks?
ordinance does not allow septic tanks unless you guys changed it. So,
All right. I don't know if we've got anything on the branding. I think everybody's pretty well up to speed on the branding implementation. Where Mark and Sean had a meeting today on the wayfinding. Maybe you can give us a little report on
sure.
what's going on there.
So we are, we have essentially plans that we can submit to UDOT to implement wayfinding. That wayfinding project's been contemplated back as far back as 1988 in some of our Main Street plans. So I think it was 98. I think it was in 2002, and the SDAT, and then more recently our Main Street plan all recommended this wayfinding project. So at this point, we just need to finalize those plans. We're getting bids right now from sign companies to see what those, what it would cost to implement. There's 3 phases that are contemplated currently right now. One of those phases includes replacing our entry signs as well with our branding. The branded signs are the signs that were recommended in our brand. We did get the TAB grant for $40,000 to help implement, and Sarah worked on another one for $25,000 for implementation grant from the Office of Tourism, which I anticipate we'll receive. And so we're getting frankly fairly close. I should bring the plans to you so you can see those plans. Certainly before we implemented, we would do that, but I can do that at the next meeting along with show you We've also been working on concept plans for our parks, our park storm drain. As development continues, we need to finalize the configuration of the storm drain basin and how that will function. And so we've used Landmark, as you recall, to essentially design conceptually what those parks look like and how those storm drain basins will be laid out. So I'll bring both of those projects to you at the next meeting.
Let's see, reports and comments, administration reports, anything, let's see, Paul, do you have anything?
I give a couple updates if you're up to.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Just on the sewer line and maybe secondary. I mean, everyone's, if you go to the grocery store, you know something's going on. Everybody in town does. So we're up, they putting in our East Main Street sewer main. We bid last year, and because of supply chain, we couldn't get manholes, and so, but we got it going. They'll be out of Kent's parking lot probably today. They should have been past the bank. I know they were right there. Paving will come within the next week or so. They'll have that all paved, but the bank should be open back up and everything. They did run into some troubles. They found there must have been an old building there that nobody could remember, because there was quite a foundation that we had to dig through, an old basement foundation. And it's before my time to come into town, so I think,
For our time though.
So,
Do you remember the old?
so it's sewer line that,
Yeah, it's
I've
just a-
had some people ask me,
yeah,
what's
that's
going
our
on?
sewer main. We are replacing an old 10-inch concrete one with the new 15 and 12-inch, depending on where it's at, PVC.
Justin,
So-
how old's the concrete one?
Oh, I'm saying it was probably put in the 60s and then extended out in the early 70s.
Yeah. 40.
Because it's been there, a few years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not totally wore out. I mean, concrete deteriorates because of flow and because of the gas in it. You create any kind of hydrogen sulfide, which is the rotten eggy smell, it'll actually deteriorate and disintegrate concrete. And so, by replacing it with PVC, that'll give us much more, plus it gives it more capacity for growth.
So would you repeat for me again, the sewer line used to be what?
Concrete,
Concrete?
yeah.
And what size was it?
It's a 10-inch concrete sewer main.
Used to be.
Yeah, the new one will be, it starts out 12 and then goes 15. As it flattens out, we increase the size so you can go deeper and it'll handle the flow.
Okay.
So to keep the depth going.
So it's taken care of from where to where?
It takes care of everything from the east side of the Malad River, clear out to city limits where it's now out by Junior Lista's house and stuff.
Clear out east?
Yeah. And that, as far as we go is the Ray Lish corner, is as far as we pick up on Main Street. Anything past that in the future will have to be pumped to us because it gets too shallow as it goes out that way towards the riverbank.
So then
So-
the sewer turns and goes down to the sewer right there in that part?
Yeah, in the parking lot, that's where the main originally went. It's still there. But city fathers allowed Kent's, it's time it was Safeway to build over top of it. And then it was routed around Safeway, but it's still going under it. And then they allowed where Ace Hardware is to build over top of it, which wasn't Ace at the time. Can't remember what it was, but anyway, but yeah, it goes right there. That's the main trunk all the way from Garland down to the treatment plant that goes right through under Kent's parking lot. So, and they were about 12 feet down there where they connected, if you were able to take a peek at it. But then it comes up, goes across the river on a little bridge where all the utilities are. We just extended the bridge to carry the new utility next to the old one. And then just at the Sinclair, just about the same level as the front door, it will turn and go across north to Main Street and then all the way east to 900 East. And it'll end at 900 East for now.
And so when did you say this will be completed?
Well, hopefully by mid-July, they'll have everything in. I mean, the hardest part is Ken's parking lot and then getting across Main Street, because there's so much.
Yes.
One thing, if you go out there and look where the alignment is, I mean, there's phone lines, fiber lines, gas line. I mean, it's a lot of high-pressure gas. So that'll be a nightmare for RUPS to get through there. But hopefully by mid-July, they'll be through with the project. But they have until October.
Okay.
But I know Blaine will want to be done. And then the secondary's on, most of it's turned on. They started charging Service Area 5, which all in the north side of town. And then they inquire, a problem, RUPS had a big leak there they've got to fix before we can continue on. That's why it's good for people to hold off hooking onto it until we get it up and running and all the bugs are worked out. I mean, it's like every year, we're taking a system that we've shut down, and after 6 months, turning it all back on. So you gotta purge all the air, you gotta do everything to get it. It'd be easier if we could leave the whole system run but because of there's no water in the canal and the winter, it has to come down. But it's always a startup process when you start up the secondary, but it's all up and running.
No major issues except
No, it's just
line.
normal startup. Plus, we went through some SCADA upgrade with our SCADA system because we're upgrading it to handle all the new components we have with the canal company. So there were some programming glitches that you just, one of those things you gotta work through, but you can't work through them until the pumps are running, which you can't do that till the canal's in. So we're working through all that. And we're being blessed with a little rain here and there, so hopefully people will bear with us while we work things out. But road projects should start somewhere around the 19th of June, 19th, 20th of June. They'll start the chip seal projects, what is on their schedule. On this new road project, we'll push them hard when we have our pre-construction meeting. We really want it done prior to fair, so we don't want nothing. But I did talk to them, probably we will try to shut down 10th West as much as we can, just to make their job go faster. You know, try to keep it as local traffic as we can and bypass everything else, other routes. And I know I talked with Mark about, when we do that with the hospital, that's a key thing of moving emergency vehicles in and around and how to get there. And we try to, anytime we do a road closure, we try to notify the emergency services, the PD and the fire department. So, any other questions or you might have, or, okay. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Chief, do you have anything for us?
Yeah. I just got a few things real quick. I actually brought you guys some handouts. Pass those over. Sure, thanks. I spoke to the mayor, and he actually wanted me to create a document for you guys, just so you can refer to the meat and potatoes as you process your decision-making. Quick updates for the PD. We are hosting a training this summer with our school staff and our students just for emergency preparedness. It's going to be a big deal. We're just inviting everybody and trying to continue to expose them to that so everybody feels safer and knows what we're going to do in those emergencies. The other thing, we have the torch run coming up this week, and we've arranged it. We have limited resources, but we're going to make it work. So we're going to do it at the high school. I can send you guys an invite if you're interested in attending. We also have a training. We've been in communication with Northrop, and they've asked us to kind of get with them and collaborate for their emergency response for those type of incidents as well. We had that Department of Justice grant we got for $100,000. Really exciting. And we have a few more out there, so fingers crossed. I've been working with Emily and some other people on trying to get as much as we can in resources. And as far as the staffing handout, I can take any questions you might have. You've seen that. I've updated the numbers a little bit because we did add one additional allocation.
Other than that, I think everybody's spun up on what's been going on with the police station.
We get a lot of questions about the ratio, and so I appreciate you giving us that,
Yes.
that information right there, because,
Yeah, and that should be updated.
comparison,
And I know we have some people very interested in the sources of that information, and I've included those as well. So if you'll look at those packets, it's, some of this information comes from the FBI and the UCR, which is the Uniform Crime Report. That's what the recommendation is, that's what the averages is. As far as population, I got that from our mayor. And this is just a breakdown, the Utah officers per 1,000 citizens, where we should be in accordance to that. Let's see, as far as statistics on the crime and things of that nature and staffing, we actually called every one of these departments and spoke with the department heads, got a breakdown of where they're at. Now, a lot of that has changed as some of them have added some allocations, some of them have filled empty allocations. So if anything, it's put us a little more behind, but these were accurate at that time when we first did this study. As far as all the crime information that comes from UCGIS and our police database, so we can print all that up as well. And I used Grantsville in the later slides just because it's the closest to our population in Utah. And the rest, just notable incidents, things we've talked about, things we've been up against along the way, and my philosophy on crime prevention. The one slide, it kind of shows Detroit, Memphis, and Baltimore. The reason I included that is just to illustrate that we're not just recklessly after police officers. More officers doesn't always equal less crime once crime sets in, because a lot of these places I wouldn't want to live in just because they have a ton of crime problems, even though they're really saturated with police officers. So our goal is to prevent us from ever having those type of issues by being proactive and preventative. And the last slide is basically an outline of what can happen if we don't stay on top of this. So that's it. Any questions on any of that?
appreciate this.
Great.
No
Very
problem.
good information.
Were you able to share any of this information with the gentleman that just left?
Yeah, we spoke briefly. He has a valid point when it comes to the public doesn't know. I think a misunderstanding with our community members is often we think the only crime we have is what we see on the news, and we don't see anything on the news. I mean, it would freak people out if they saw what we're dealing with every day and the type of crimes.
Right.
And I don't want to create, fear, because we're doing our best to keep things under control, but there's definitely a good share of crimes, major crimes. We had a huge scare on Saturday with a guy that had every intention. We talked to him after we had him in custody. His intention was to create an officer-involved shooting, and he came this close, like very close to that happening. Now, one, that's super traumatic for an officer to go through, something they're going to have to deal with. It puts them out of commission for the police department for months at a time in some cases, and that's if they're mentally sound. And what it would do to our little department is we would not be able to police our city. We would have lost 2 right out the gate. We have 1 on military. We have another one out at the hospital. I mean, we would have just been 4 or 5 people down out of, that's like half of our department. If you look at the numbers for Tremont, and these would all, I want to say they would have all been Tremont assets. So having the relationship with Garland definitely gives us a buffer, and it's a good thing. But we got to stay ahead of it so we can respond appropriately to an emergency like the shooting we had, like this threats. Because, I mean, we've gotten very lucky multiple times, and I haven't been out here that long, but there's been a few incidents where we could have lost 4 or 5 guys just being involved with an officer-involved shooting. And I don't know what we do from there. So that's kind of where we're at. Any other questions? And if you guys need other statistics, let me know.
This is helpful.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Great.
good, thank you.
Just one more question,
Oh,
you,
shoot.
what you give the city council
Yeah.
I'm sure you have to be careful what's public and what's not public in that time. What you give us, that's public information or not?
It is. I actually don't share a lot of this stuff with you because it's public information. I believe in being open and honest with the public, and we try to share as much information as we can. The limitation in this career is if I share too much information on a pending investigation or case, I can compromise that case. And then when it gets to the DA or the prosecutor, and for anybody listening at home, that's why we don't release all that information. We're actually trying to be responsible with the information we give out, but oftentimes I wish I could just put it out there. I mean, you see some of these sheriffs in like Florida and stuff, and they'll just put them on blast. I think that's great, but then you make the prosecution harder, and it's not worth it to not bring, because if I compromise that case, they don't get a fair trial, and I can actually be the cause of someone not going to jail and or prison for their crime because I've influenced a jury without meaning to.
And that makes sense. I was just wondering if any of that information could be shared with Jeff or not, you know what I mean? Because he seems to be really concerned about it. You got to bear with me here. An analogy of a hunting dog. You know, a hunting dog, you take them out, and if they go out too far, the hunter starts shooting at the dog because it's scaring the birds up further out than what he can shoot them.
Right.
But if the dog sits back right next to the hunter's kicking him in the butt because he's not out there. The dog has to know how far out to go.
Right.
He either gets shot at or he gets kicked, one of the two.
Sure.
You know, what Jeff said here in this meeting about, you know, we should have been anticipating the growth. We've been patting ourselves on the back as a city council by not raising taxes. And here we are, you know, you're getting kicked in the butt now because we didn't do it, you know, as the growth happened in Tremont. And now we're making a correction by raising taxes the way we are. It's the hunting dog scenario.
100%.
You're either getting shot at or you're getting kicked in the butt because you got to figure out where to be. That means that we would have had to have raised taxes every other year, you know, to hire more policemen. And so, you know.
Yeah, and that's pretty
if you
standard.
don't.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest, I don't envy where you guys sit because you're up against some real big problems. But I think you're doing the right thing. And my job isn't to, because we actually had someone come into the police station, they were upset about taxes and they wanted to talk about it. My job isn't to say where we get the money. My job is to plan, how do we keep our officers safe and how do we keep our community safe? And we need to be in a situation where we can do that collectively. Like, we're all on the same team here. We have to work together to conquer that goal. And because we're behind, we are kicking that dog and we're trying to get ahead of bigger problems. And I think it's really responsible. And I think the other,
What you're doing.
yeah, no worries. And I think the other thing that probably is freaking the public out, and this came up in the conversation from today, is the way it was presented in an article, it is not a 50%, it's not doubling the cost of everything. It's that one line on your tax thing, and essentially, I think a number amount would have been better. Like, if we just broke that down by number, what it might look like, it would put a lot of people at ease, because these people were convinced we just doubled all their taxes.
Right.
And that's not the case, so.
We're gonna get the word out. Our tax increase is gonna be Tremont City only tax.
Tremont City only.
That's it. No county, no school, no mosquito abatement, none of that. Tremont City only.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your support. We'll keep doing what we're doing and hope nothing crazy happens. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chief. Chris, do you have anything for us today?
Sure. Just want to give you a quick update on some of our staffing that we're doing right now. So we had, some of you are aware, back in April, we lost one full-time firefighter, and we're scheduled to lose another one at the end of this month. So we did some interviews Friday, and I don't know if any offers went out, but essentially we were going to set out 2 offers for full-time positions to fill those slots. So that should be coming. And then we're going to start working some of the other processes along the way. More to come with that, with captains and things. So we still got some details we need to work through with that. We have put in for a couple grants. We put in for a per capita grant, and we're working on finalizing a competitive grant to bring in some additional revenue for the fire department. So More to come on those. I don't know when we'll hear back on the per capita. That's usually about $6,000 is what we got last year. And the competitive grant, I'm not sure how much that'll be yet, so we're trying to do our part on bringing in some additional funds as well.
Fire chief would be,
Have we heard a final offer on that?
No, we're still doing the,
Still doing the background checks? Okay,
oh, okay, all right.
we're moving along.
okay.
It being out of state and not using our normal network, but Lindsay's been diligent working on it. That said, we've talked tentatively about the start date being June 30th. I'm not sure if, because we haven't given them a final offer, if that's going to change that start date, but, because I'm not sure where he's at in making changes in his life, since it's not a final offer.
So that is a Friday too.
Yeah,
I don't know if that matters, but,
we did it for benefits reasons.
Okay.
So whether he actually starts on that Friday or the following Monday or before that, we'll see.
sounds good.
Are you doing okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Busy, but we're doing good.
But some
Like I said, we've been able to utilize the resources that we have internally to kind of spread that out, like the fire department should work. So I've been able to use the officers and things like that to help manage the workload. So we're doing good. I will be out of town next week though, so just be prepared for something big to happen. Every time I leave town, something happens. So I'll be out of pocket and probably won't be able to be reached, so.
So he's not in Island Park. If he's in Island Park, we need him. I'll go get him.
Yeah. Won't be in Island Park, it's too much snow yet.
Lives.
So, any other questions for me?
Great job and thank you.
Thanks,
You're holding it together.
Yeah, no problem, happy to do it.
All right, let's see, Main Street, do we have anything you want to update us on?
We just have the farmer's market continue.
Why don't you come up here so we can, sorry, make you come up, march all the way up here.
It's so far. Farmer's market's continuing. The first one was a great success. The weather held out, which very happy about. We're pretty much full for the season still, pretty much just getting a wait list as well as figuring out ways to kind of add a few more in. And we are at about probably 40% of our vendors are produce, plant starts, food, like baked goods, all that, which our goal is to get to at least 50% of that being what the farmer's market is. So hopefully by next year, it will be that, or even by the end of the season, because usually come August, September, October, we'll have more of the produce available as well. So we try to hold a little bit of space for that as well in the second half of the season. The second Friday stroll was good. The weather was great. We had 10 businesses participate. So that was really fun. We're going to continue to do it every month. Hopefully it just catches on more, thanks to those who came out and participated. It was a good pick-me-up for our businesses. They were excited to see the city participating with them and trying to bring people downtown in a really, I guess, personal, like it was them specifically being able to participate. So, yeah.
Thank you. Do you have anything for us at all, Julie, or?
Yeah, just really quick.
So, Greg and I have been working really hard he's been working really hard, I've been trying really hard to support him in working on some of the issues that people have been complaining about for a long time with animal services. And he's been putting shutdowns on things like we have repeated backyard breeders, if you will, that are operating without kennel licenses. There was one home that it was reported as having 18 dogs in their backyard. When he went and staked it out, there were actually 25 in the property. So we ended up with one of the moms and 8 of her puppies at the shelter because they had broken out of the yard. And so that has been referred to the court. All of the dogs are now gone. And so that, there's a lot of hopefully happy neighbors surrounding that situation. There have been complaints from people not knowing if they lose an animal or if they find an animal, where do they take the animal they found, or where do they find their animal that they've lost. And so I've been working hard on the social media end and just talking with people in the community to make them aware of where we are. It's shocking how many people don't even realize that Tremonton has an animal shelter. They have no idea. People who've lived here for years and years and years that have absolutely no idea that we even have an animal shelter. And so literally every day, we're getting people calling or coming in that have driven to Brigham City or driven to Logan because they type in animal shelter and it sends them to one of those addresses. We're not even on the map. Like, we don't have our own address, so that creates a huge issue. People, if they put in animal shelter, it doesn't even send them to us because we're under either the police station or we're under the city office. We don't have our own address. So we've been trying to just kind of get around that, let people know we are here. We're getting a lot of traction through the Facebook page, 24/7, that people are messaging through there. And so it's made it a lot easier for me to work one-on-one with people and kind of take that off of Greg's plate a little bit, that since I'm not there to answer calls for him, hopefully it's taking some weight off of the PD where they have been answering all of our calls. We're trying to take that off of them a little bit and handle our own calls. But a lot of that is going through that Facebook Messenger that people are, tagging it all day long. Like, if you've lost your animal or you found an animal, message this page, and it's working. We're getting the number that we're bringing into the shelter is either staying stagnant or actually kind of dropping a lot of weeks. But we're every single day helping people either find an animal's home or find their animal all day long. We're just connecting the dots without them even coming to the shelter. So to me, it's a huge win. The other thing is we got our shed, which has been in the works for a few months, and Public Works got our concrete poured, and so we were able to get our shed delivered, and we were able to move all of the food and all of our traps and all of our cages, not animal cages, but like the things that are used out in the field, that are just kind of taking up space in that small shelter. We were able to move it out to the shed, so it's given us more space and a little fresher environment in the shelter itself for us to be working in during the day. We're working on, Best Friends is helping us get a washer and dryer so that we can actually do laundry there, so we don't have to throw everything away. And then we're hoping to get some air conditioning, because there's no air conditioning there. So we're hoping that before it gets too blazing hot, that we can actually have some cooler air in there. So anyway, we're just trying to keep things
thank you.
moving forward.
All right, very good. I omitted the DRC. Do you have anything to update on DRC?
Yeah, we've got 2 townhome projects on 4th West in close proximity to, the Matheson apartments and everything that's developing there that are nearing approval. We have a rezone request that we'll be working on with the Planning Commission. And I think we're getting pretty close with the land use plan. You might recall that we had our traffic engineer take a look at the densities and the road network just to make sure that that those densities could support in the future land use plan our transportation system, and see if there's any changes that we need to make either to our land use plan or transportation network. So I think those are the ones that come to mind. Connie, is there anything else that you can think that we've
I
been?
think that covers it.
There's
A lot, there's really quite a bit going on.
Yeah, and I think really what I'm seeing is the trend is, and River's Edge is nearing the edge too, where developers are pushing right to the edge before they have to record, and they hold off on recording because it changes the taxes. It also requires them, to post the bond and make the improvements. So they're getting right to the edge where they are ready to record when they want to record. And that takes, frankly, a lot of time when people stop and start and people are shopping their paper lots, which again takes time. So even though there's not a lot of applications that are being reviewed and approved per se, there's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes as people sort of try to position themselves to be ready for when the market comes. River's Edge keeps telling me that they're working on, they say they're going to do something this year, but I'm still going to, recordation is really the point where they really becomes evident that they are moving forward.
All right. Council, do you have any comments or reports you want to? Rick? You almost came out, huh? Wow. What?
No, we just got to keep on promoting that growth. Other than that,
If you define.
Okay, let it out, Brett.
If you define promote as we're trying to help development, then yes. Okay, but that we've actively recruited growth, absolutely not. And so I have a hard time taking on the hat that people are coming in and mad at us because we're going out and recruiting growth in our city. And that's not the case. Are we managing it? We're trying.
I think
And
we're
we've been
trying to be
managing it for
responsible in
years.
how we do it.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
how long have we been setting up for secondary water and these things to take place so that when the growth does come, we're somewhat ready? So I think we've done a good job.
Yeah, and if you look at that chart that
Yes.
the chief put out, and showed, I mean, we had a spike. Yes, we did have a spike of growth there for a while, but now it's sort of leveled out to what how fast we've traditionally grown. And so everybody thinks back to that spike and everything, but it isn't. Long-term, we're just we're growing, and that's a good thing. We want to grow. But you're right.
interest rates have slowed it down, which we knew it would. And
Oh, sure they did. Yeah, sure they have. And, people, it's hard to afford a home right now.
go down to the city of leagues and that type of stuff, and this is on the forefront of every city in the entire state of Utah.
Absolutely.
And I just figured those numbers that the chief just gave us, we show a 4.3% growth in a 12-year period, but it's the spike in the last 2 years. And anyway, got to stop these farmers from selling their land.
Oh, here we go.
Allowing
Don't
promoting
start
growth.
that over again. Do you want to give anything else out? You got any more?
Oh, I'm ready to bust with some of these comments. I'm done.
The only thing I would say is Friday night, I participated in the Stroll Main, and I wasn't able to finish all of them, but I will say that I learned some things because I hadn't been in some of those businesses before. And it was good for me to understand what is on our main street or what. And so I appreciate Sarah promoting this because it helps me to know my city better. So I learned a great deal, and I thought it was enlightening for me to know what's downtown because I can say I didn't know.
Very good. Wes?
Remember the Memorial Day program down the cemetery? Guess it's gonna be down there this year again, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then, flower pots will be out Monday if the mayor gets up early and gets them all loaded.
Wow,
Get me
that
up
was
that early.
fun.
I'll call you.
Okay. No, I'm good. It's 7:00. We're going to start
Yep.
the pots out, so.
But tell about the pots because they're not the same as they've been the last few years.
Yeah, so this year, we're just, rather than having that sweet potato vine, what we learned with sweet potato vine is it just overtakes everything. And so your petunias and everything else sort of get smothered by it as it grows through the summer. this year, we're just gonna mix it all up, and so we're gonna it's gonna be a hodgepodge of different colors and different types of plants and everything, so we're kind of excited about it. Got them over in the greenhouse, and they're doing really well, and we'll have them out on Monday, so we're excited about it.
That was so fun.
You know, I looked at the Brigham City paper, and they came out last week. Brigham City gave their proposed budget for the year. It's like 93 million or something like that. And I thought, holy cats, they're not that much bigger than us. So Mark and Sean and I kind of went through our tentative budget for this year. We're looking at about a $26.4 million budget, of which, you know, a big portion of that are utilities and public safety make up the lion's share of everything. And of course, you know, so I got to thinking, you know, okay, so we've got this $26 million budget that we're proposing. I think it's $1.2 million increase for this. That's what we're proposing. Whether the council agrees to that or not, we'll see. But that's what we're kind of proposing. But also, if we stop and think about, we've also done a lot with grants, and I added them up, and we're looking at about with the Midland Square grant, the ASR project for the water project on the Deweyvilles. We got the secondary water grant for $2 million. There's 2.6 right there that we've come up with. The police department came up with 100 or 110,000, and another 16.5. EMS, you guys have got nearly $100,000 on the diesel exhaust and some other grants that have added on to that. And then we've learned the last little while that we've got a very, very good chance of another $1 to $1.5 million in the state of Utah for water projects. And it's not specific. It's just sort of like, it could be secondary, it can be culinary, it just needs to be H2O. And that, all of that added up to almost $4 million. That's a significant and that's, like Sean said, these organizations, the state, CDBG, all the others, they're doing that. You know, they're showing confidence in Tremont by investing in our community, and we just really appreciate that. Then I got to thinking, okay, what about you know, property taxes, and what's the impact of that for the various, you know, we got homes anywhere, I think the average home is $377,000 in Tremont, and that's according to Zillow. But if we look at a $300,000 home, you know, we're looking at, you know, property taxes on that. Currently, our current tax rate is that home's about $361. Truth in Taxation would increase that by $209, but that increase, that $209 over 12 months is $17.47, and then we go up to a higher end home, maybe $600,000, and you know, and it's about $34, $35 a month. I don't know. You know, when it comes to, unfortunately, my terrible habit of going and getting a drink at Maverick, I'm probably spending $30 a month on my rotten habit. But anyway, I think public safety, whether it's fire protection, whether it's police protection, you know, I think those are certainly worthwhile. The other thing we learned is on this property tax shift and how that works, you know, and you know, people think, well, my property taxes have gone up. you say they haven't gone up. Well, look here, they've gone up, you know. Well, that's a function of this property tax shift that goes on, and we're always wrestling with between corporate, you know, between commercial and residential. And if commercial goes down, residential property taxes have to go up. But the net effect to the city is the same. I mean, we get the same amount of money. It's just who's doing the paying, you know. One loses, the other, one pays less, while the other one has to pay more. And anyway, I think I'd like to take this information and I'd like to put this out in the paper, if that's okay with you. And I think I'm probably will be calling you because I want to make sure I get it right. But there's a lot going on, and we are growing. It's a function of the markets. Like it or not, it's a function of the markets. And we're no different than many of the other towns in Utah, just like you said. And so I think we got our work cut out for us, and people don't like the idea of us doing this, and so we're just going to have to work our way through it. But that's all I have.
Well, let me make a comment.
Yeah.
When we're going out and we're telling people that we're going to raise their taxes 60%,
That's
everyone's going to blow up on that. Okay?
freak out. Yeah.
Okay, but what it really comes down to, and I just figured it out, my taxes with this right here are going to go up 17%. That's all. You know, my total property taxes are only going up 17%. I can live with 17%. I can't live with 60. Now, when that's thrown out there at 60%, that's where my head's going is you're going to raise my total property taxes 60%. And so we need to use numbers that people can relate to.
But that's a great one, but does it vary on a house like yours?
For
to
me,
a
it's
house on mine?
17%.
Well, you can figure that out. I did the dollars per month but we can also do that. I don't know, we'd have to calculate it and see what it works out to be, but yeah.
But you see what I mean? 17% is easier to swallow than 60%.
Oh, yeah.
You still have your tax notice that they give you, that you pay off of.
Yeah,
It shows a breakdown of the tax abate, or the
Right.
mosquito abatement, all of them. And you take a look at the Tremont line, and that's what you times by 60%.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody's talking about.
but that's 17% total. That's what I ask is,
Total.
And that's what
will it
people
be
want to know.
17% on mine compared to his house? Where
Well,
our
so
houses are a little different?
You know, everybody, that's what I'm saying. On a
wouldn't be,
house
would it?
that's valued at,
I didn't think
you know,
so.
Orange to orange.
Yeah.
300,000, it might be $200 a year. On a house that's valued at $600,000, it'll be like $400 a year. So, whether it's proportionally, you know, that percent increase is the same, I don't know, but it's just something I think we're going to have to, you know, if this is what we want to do is work with, you know, on public safety and that kind of thing, I think we're going to have to.
Well, you all know my thoughts. Public safety, we owe our citizens a safe environment. Safe water, safe police, safe, when they call for a cop, they get one. If they call for an ambulance, they get one, and when they can turn on the water, and that's the basic concept of our jobs, I believe, is to keep our community safe.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, well, that's all I've got. I guess we have one more.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second. Hey, thank you, everybody.
Wow.